There are like so many farms scattered in that region filled with children doing that type of work. I knew the importance of the picture, and it's all about taking the risk. My name is Salwan Georges, and I'm a photojournalist with The Washington Post. My editors asked me if I'm interested in documenting the opioid epidemic that was swiping through the United States and taking so many lives. We got a call that 2 people OD'd outside this bar in Taunton, Massachusetts. The gentleman was laying down. Families were crying, hugging each other, shouting, "Please save him, please save him." This was a fentanyl overdose, I believe. The scene was so heavy that I had to at some point just put my camera down and just hope that this person makes it. Thankfully, at the end of this night, he was awake and on his way to the hospital to recover. I was able to cut up later with him, and he's doing okay now. His mom writes me from time to time. Fentanyl is 50 times stronger than the regular heroin. Unfortunately, a lot of times people don't make it back from it. We were undercover watching this gentleman going from car to car selling drugs. When the detectives decided to move in, this person swallowed the bag of fentanyl because they were scared to get caught. The detectives were able to kind of pull it out of its mouth. It was a white bag full, so that's we'll definitely kill this person. They just must have chewed through the bag or something, and within half an hour, OD'd. It was during sunset, as you can see the light shining through between all the paramedics working. And then within 10 minutes, this person woke up. They were like, "Hello, you have OD'd. Welcome back," basically. I've never seen anything like that where the drug dealer ODs. I spent time on Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia. It's a heavily trafficked, open-air drug market. One of the people was Guterres, and Guterres was setting up to shoot fentanyl. I approached him because he was wearing a Detroit Pistons hat, and being from Detroit, it was an easy way for me to introduce myself. He was telling us all these stories about his friends who OD'd. I was saying, "Do you mind if I kind of hang around and take some photos?" And he was totally cool with it. We just, watched him break the pill, heat it up, fill the needle, and then he just shot it in his hands. After that, he got up and walked away. So it seems like a very routine thing. It's like he's going to get a flu shot, basically. As you drive down Kensington Avenue, you see a bunch of people just going either through withdrawal or they're just very high. And it's just a very sad scene to see. In 2019, we went undercover to Ivory Coast to expose some of the chocolate companies that still use child slavery and child laborers. A lot of those leading chocolate companies like Mars, Nestle, and Hershey fled to trace the source of the chocolate to make sure none children were harmed harvesting the cocoa. According to our reporting, they still couldn't do it after 20 years. We spoke to these children who told us that literally they were smuggled in buses and were forced to kind of live in these areas and have a master that will barely pay them, make them work in really, really harsh conditions to collect cocoa. And you can see the sadness on these children. They should be at school. That's what they told me. They shouldn't be doing this hard work and giving up their dreams. It's not easy to find these children, and it's extremely dangerous because the government doesn't want you to see this. At the border of Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast, these buses come in the middle of the night, non-stop. As you can see here, these kids are probably 15, 14 years old. Some of them were crying. Those buses kept coming every night. There are like so many farms scattered in that region filled with children doing that type of work. I knew the importance of the picture. I knew I really needed to show what's going on. And it's all about taking the risk. So I jumped in the middle of the street, I grabbed the photo and I left. It's not a thrill or anything. It's more about showing the truth. One of the people I was able to photograph and hear their story was Abu. He was 15. Abu told me, please take my picture, please show my face. I want my family back in Burkina Faso to see who I am and what I do now. It was a really sad thing to hear from a kid. To this day, I think about it. These children harvest a lot of the cocoa that we eat, and they don't even know what chocolate tastes like. So I was getting ready to go to Afghanistan for work. I got a call from my editor asking me to reroute to Ukraine. At that time, we're afraid that Russia will invade any time. This was the funeral of a 24-year-old Ukrainian soldier. This was his mother, sister, and some relatives, grandma here. The war is kind of personal for me. I kind of grew up in a similar situation. As I was photographing, I was thinking of all the family members I lost in the war in Iraq. It was really difficult for me to capture this moment and continue documenting it, but I knew I had a job to do. I knew I had to get myself together. It was completely darkness. I saw this man just placing his hand on the window saying goodbye. This was Georgie saying goodbye to his wife, Maya, who, along with the children, are leaving. This train was heading to Lviv. From there, they hope to cross into Poland and then make their way to Germany. This whole scene unfolded in front of me. Georgie and his wife, Maya, kept kissing, holding hands through the window. Their children crying in the back. I felt something really, really heavy. I was like, I feel like I've witnessed this before. I felt this before. And I think it's because it triggered another memory for mine as how my dad said goodbye to me and my mom put us in a bus heading to Jordan in the late 90s as he had to stay and he was not allowed to leave. It was technically difficult to photograph because it was completely darkness. But when you start shooting with your heart, all these things become invisible. And all I had to do was just witness this thing that tells the story of a lot of goodbyes, a lot of final goodbyes. This is the price of the war, of any war. Photojournalism to me is more of a mission. There's nothing else I would rather do than just tell people stories to make any type of impact on their life for the better. Everybody has a story. All you have to do is just spend time with them.